Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learnt about function generators. So, we discussed about few topics yesterday. Let me give the summary what we learnt yesterday about function closure, function recursion, and pure and impure functions, and function generator. So, this is yesterday's concept. Before that, we learned so many about function parameter, function returns, and all. Generator, yesterday I given a point. I will give a detailed note about it. So I showed you the concept, how actually generator works. So what you remembered about these things? What is closure? Closure is a behavior. It is a behavior where outer members are accessible to inner members not accessible to outer. What is recursion? Calling a function within the context of same function. What are pure function? They will return the same result even we have different parameters. And impure functions same parameter but different result. What is the purpose of generator? Actually, function generator, what is the concept I will give today? Yesterday I explained. Few points I will give here. So, generator is used to create iterator. Iterators are created by using generator. What is iterator? Iterator is a software design used used to access elements from a collection in a sequential order. Access elements from a collection in sequential order. That is the concept of iterator. So, iterator is a software design pattern. It is name of a design pattern. Software design patterns is a different concept. So we will not discuss that now, but I hope you people know software development always follows design patterns. How many design patterns are there? Any idea? 23. There are 23 design patterns which we use in any software development. Some of them you will learn in your technologies, like I hope you people learned singleton. Singleton is a design pattern. What is singleton design pattern? A class can have only one instance. A class can have only one object. Then it is singleton. Like that, there are so many patterns. When situation comes, I will explain. Iterator is a design pattern. What is difference between loop and iterator is iterator doesn't require doesn't require initialization, condition, and counter. Right? It doesn't require these three things. It handles all operations implicitly. It will handle all of these internally. Where to start, when to stop, how to proceed, everything is internally controlled. We don't need to write anything. So how the generators are created? Yesterday I given one example. So we write a function and the function asterisk and the function name, and function will yield. So it will yield a value. You can make the function yield value. It can yield a value. So I explained the concept about this. Asterisk is a meta character that refers to zero or more occurrences. Zero or more occurrences. That means what does asterisk means for a function? It means that the function executes zero times or more time. If there is data, it will start. If there is no data, it will stop. How many times it can repeat? It depends how much data you have. So this is meta character. And what is yield? Yield is an operator. So that provides a value and continue to next. Yield and return difference I explained. Return will provide a value and stop. Yield will provide a value and continue to next. So that is the behavior. So whenever you create a reference for that generator name, name is generator reference. This is generator reference. Through reference, you can access next. What next is going to do? Actually, next is going to return two things. Returns an object with value and done. It will return value and done. What is value? The data stored in memory. What is done? It returns true if there is no more data to read. Right? So value refers to data in memory, and done is a boolean, that returns true when there is no value, when there is no more value to read. There is no more value to read, it will return done. This is the concept of how the iterator works. As I already explained, these are all the syntaxes and basic. After learning these, we will implement in our projects. When we learn React, there we will use. Right? Here I am not giving any real-time examples to you. I am explaining real-time scenario. I am explaining where they are used. How to use that React will teach you. Where to use, how to use, we will learn in React. All these things. So whatever you learned all these days, you are going to implement in React. There you will see them working. Right? So generally, function generator, how it works. So yesterday I given example. I shared this example of a function generator. This is, yeah. Oh, this is not our project. Web app. Yeah. So this is an example. I will copy this. Already I shared yesterday, but this is one example of how to design iterate. Yesterday I already explained and given, but detailedly today I'm giving note about it. Right? What is the concept of iterator? We discussed this already. So now you are aware of function closures, recursion, pure and impure functions, and function generate. Next important in functions concept you should know about function chaining. I explained. Yes. Yesterday we done that. I think I explained function chaining. Right. So then next important you should know about uh, function callback and promise. We need to know about function callbacks and promises. So what is function callback and function promise? Actually, the technique of callback and promise is nothing but we have some set of functions, but we will not call them. Then how they run? If you don't call them, how they run? According to situation, they can run. When condition matching, it will run one function. Not matching, it can run another function. That means a set of functions are given and they are left for decision making based on situation, based on state. If a function is automatically executing, then we call that as what? Call back. Generally, function needs a call. In order to run a function, you have to call the function. Callback indicates that you don't call, it will call according to situation. You just tell what are the functions you need for which situation. When the situation comes, that function will execute. We don't need to call the function. So, callback is a technique where we define some set of functions and we leave them for the situation. When situation matching, they will execute certain functions. Not matching, they will execute some other function. How it happens, I will show you. For example, here we are using a simple point. We have a function called fetch data. It is expecting URL response. This is success and failure. So if URL is matching with some server.com, anything roughly I given, then success will execute and it will return some array of objects with the name. So another object with the name like this. Some data it will return. And else the failure will use a function. This function will execute and display some message invalid URL, unable to fetch data. Like this we give it. Now here when you call fetch data and we will ask prompt enter URL, they will enter some URL. After that, which function should execute? Success or failure? We have some set of functions to run. Which one will be called? That depends on the situation. Callback is a mechanism where we give a set of functions, but all will not call. They will be called according to situation. That means after entering URL, you send a function. This function will collect the response and we want to print the response. Console log, I will print the response. We have another function, comma, another function. This function will collect the error and it will log the error. Console log, whatever error comes, it will log. That means now what happens in this case is, so this URL is passed into it and it will verify is URL matching. If URL is matching, then it will execute this function. It will send this data to this response and it will print that response. If URL is not matching, then failure function will execute this one. It will send to the second function. So you given two functions, but you haven't called them. Then how they will run? That depends on situation. This is callback mechanism. So callback is a technique where a set of functions are defined or a function is defined which you don't need to call. Whenever condition matches, they will execute. They will execute. Now see what happens in this case. So when we run this, I will enter some data. So this is something .com and you will see that inspect in the console. I will cancel this. Yeah, in the console it says invalid. Na? I will run one more time. I will put server.com. Then it will get me the data and it will return the data. On success, it will execute one function. On failure, it will execute another function. But which function to execute, you don't call. It will call back the function according to the situation. In this technique, one problem is there. What is the problem in callback technique is, in modern JavaScript, we are avoiding these callbacks very much. Why? What is problem in callback is nothing but in callback you define some functions and what is the behavior is when a function is executing, it will block all other activities in the process. When a function is executing, it will block other activities in the process. It will let the function finish, then other activities will perform. This mechanism is called as synchronous. We call it as synchronous. What is problem in callbacks is they use synchronous technique. When they are executing and performing some action, they will not allow others. They block all other activities. This is called blocking technique. That is very good. In some cases, it is good. For example, you are downloading videos. You have to download 4 videos from a website, but downloading videos is a heavy task for them. Then when you click download, one video is downloading, you click another, it will be in the queue. It will not download. Am I right? That is synchronous. Synchronous means one after another. Let the one finish, second one will start. But synchronous is not great every time. Sometimes we need asynchronous. One is downloading, let the two also download. Don't wait. If you have enough memory, your tasks are simple, they will not create any mess up in the process, then better you can go with asynchronous. Asynchronous is fast. Asynchronous is fast. It executes fast. It returns fast because it executes simultaneously. I will show the point how it works. So in modern JavaScript, so many libraries they changed from callbacks to a new technique called promise. So earlier we used to use lot of callbacks, but now we are using lot of promises. Remember, so many libraries. That means you will see just 1 7 months, 8 months back students who learnt some technologies of JavaScript from us. Now today they send us messages saying that I am your previous batch student. I am trying this option which we learnt in class. At that time it was working fine. Now I am trying newly. I created a new project yesterday. Suddenly it's not working. All these days it is working. Suddenly why it is not working? One problem is all the libraries that previous people learned, those libraries are changed from callback to promises. They need to change the syntax now. They need to use a promise mechanism instead of callback. I will show you when we practically use them while connecting with APIs accessing. So what is callback technique? What is the callback technique and what are issues of callback technique? Let's see the point here. First, important, how you define the concept of callback. Callback. So it is a mechanism of configuring multiple functions. Configuring multiple functions, but will not call the functions. It is the mechanism of configuring multiple functions but will not call the function. So a function, a function is called and executed according to the state and situation. According to the state and situation. You don't call the functions. All are anonymous. Means they don't have a name. So you see how many callbacks I return to. One callback for success, another callback for failure. So is it having any name? No, they don't have a name. All callbacks are anonymous. They don't have a name. Why they don't have a name? Because they don't need a name. We need to call using name. If there is no name, why how you will call? You don't need to call. They will execute automatically. That means why they don't need a name? Because we don't call them. If we have to call them, then they need a name. Then without name, how you they will run? You don't call them, they will execute automatically. They will execute automatically according to the situation. So very important is all anonymous, all callbacks. Callbacks are anonymous, means without name. All callbacks are anonymous type. That means they don't have a name. And callback executes using blocking technique. Callback executes using blocking technique. So which is synchronous technique. That is important about callback. So callback uses a blocking technique. Blocking technique means it is an synchronous technique. So callbacks, what is blocking technique? It blocks all other actions in the process while executing the given action. It blocks all other actions in the process while executing the given. That is callback technique. So syntax, you have a function. So some name, callback one and callback two, like that you can have multiple. Callback one is executed, callback two is executed, and we define name function. This is for one and this is for callback one. And another function, this is for callback two. That is callback technique. So in modern JavaScript technologies, these callbacks are not being used. We are avoiding them. Several libraries changed themselves from callback to promises. So, what is an alternative thing for this? How we can improve the performance and how we can handle the performance? Let's see. I will copy this example. This is an example of callback, how callback works. So, the same thing in modern JavaScript we do by using promise. So, what is this promise? Let's see. So, the next important we have is promise. Actually, this promise is same like the promise is same like a real world promise. What is promise means? In general, what is promise means? Promise means promise. Huh? No? In general, you are making a promise, right? What does it means? Huh. You are assuring of doing a task. Am I right? What is the nature of promise? You are assuring a task. What can be the result of promise? Either you fulfill the promise or reject. You made a promise. The promise may return two things, either fulfill or reject. What is the speciality about promises? When it is fulfilling the promise, it will not block other actions. It will allow others to perform. It uses an unblocking technique. Generally, callback uses a blocking technique. Promise uses an unblocking technique. It uses an asynchronous technique. For example, you see here, suppose what is the concept of asynchronous? The concept of asynchronous is, suppose we are having A, this is 5 MB, B is 2 MB, C is 8 MB, and D is 1 MB. This is the data we are having in memory. And actually, it will take approximately, suppose, 5 seconds for reading 5 MB data. Similarly, say that 2 seconds for 2 MB, 8 seconds for 8 MB, and 1 second for 1 MB. Now, what we are doing, we are trying to read all A to D, everything. One by one, we want to read. Then what happens is, you made a request to the first one. It is taking 5 seconds time. Synchronous means it will wait until the 5 seconds completed. Once the response is completed, then it will go to the second. That is synchronous. Means how much time it will take to complete reading all this. 16 seconds it will take to read complete all this in a synchronous way. Asynchronous means it make a request to first one. It is taking time. It will go to second. It will go to the third. It will go to fourth. Which one is ready first? It will come first. That means 1 MB will come first. Total, how much time it will take to read all? In 8 seconds, it can read all. That is the maximum time. Na? Means in 8 seconds, it will finish reading all. That is what your computer technologies are now implementing. We can achieve this using some technologies, call this as parallel programming. Some call it as asynchronous programming. Parallel programming, asynchronous programming, both are same thing. Actually, .NET like technology people call it as parallel programming. And Java and JavaScript, other people call this as asynchronous programming. That means you have a for each and we have a parallel for each, synchronous for each. For each will read one after another. Asynchronous will read all at a time. That is fast. So what a promise can do, it can perform the task given without blocking other tasks. So it will perform better. These are very, very important because in JavaScript you already learnt. Tell me which promise you already learnt in JavaScript. For example, you learnt fetch method. If you learnt fetch Ajax, it is promise. That means fetch is a promise. If anyone asks, tell me about any promise that you learnt in JavaScript. Fetch is one promise. It uses asynchronous way. You can make a request with API. Data is coming from API. We can read and present the data without blocking others. It executes everything in which technique? Asynchronous. This mechanism is promise. So, what is a promise and how it works? Same like callback, right? What is the concept of promises? It refers to a real life promise made to assure any action, to assure any action. Promise returns two results. One is resolve, another one reject. So resolve executes when promise is fulfilled. Reject executes when there is an issue and promise cannot be fulfilled. When there is an issue and promise cannot be fulfilled, then reject executes. What is speciality is the same thing callback is also doing. On success one work, on failure another work. Then what is difference is promise is async by default. That means it is asynchronous. Asynchronous means it uses unblocking technique. We have blocking technique and we have unblocking technique. So it can process your request without blocking other requests in the process. So in the process, this process refers to your computer process. So it can process your request without blocking other requests in the process. That is what actually promise is. Let's see how it works. Same concept with promise, how it is going to work. Remember, testing and watching the response time, return time, and all, you will see later. Because for that, you need to learn some testing related basics. Now, you cannot test them, right? If I say that asynchronous is faster, and you say that prove that asynchronous is faster, we can prove. We can calculate the time. We can show the time, how much it is taken to complete. We will see that. But for that, some more things you have to learn in technology. How to calculate the thread timing, how to calculate how much time. Every technology have that. Only the point you will not learn so much depth. Suppose in Java, .NET and other technologies, if anyone asks, write a for loop, run the for loop, and reading from 1 to 10,000, tell me how much time it is taken to finish. How? How much time it has taken to complete the loop? How you will calculate? If you know multi-threading, you can do. If you know multi-threading, you will have thread-related timing. You can calculate and you can know how much time it has taken to finish. That is multi-threading, right? So technically, if you know such topics, you can do that. We can prove that. Later, situation-wise, we will see them. Here, initially, how the promise works. Let's see. Same thing we try to do with promise. Let's do that. How we do it, I will create fetch data is equal to, it is a promise type. It is a promise type. And you can see the promise is using, that means we are allocating a dynamic memory. Dynamic memory means what? New promise. And into that, we are defining a function. This function will have two actions to perform. One is resolve, another one reject. So we will ask for URL prompt. We will ask enter URL. We will check a condition if URL is matching with server.com. If it is matching, then resolve. What resolve will do? It will send some data. Same. So TV, something, another one, some name. This is mobile. Some data is sending. Else on reject, we will send a error message saying that invalid URL, unable to fetch. data. That's what we are doing. How the promise is executed? Promise is executed fetch data by using then. A promise contains then catch finally. Then uses a function which will collect the response on success. And we will print the response. We will print the response. Catch contains a function which will collect the error. It will catch the error and it will print the error. Console.log, it will print the error. And finally uses a function that executes always. On success, it will execute. On failure, it will execute. So we put a message, something like program and like clean up the memory, delete all the variables, whatever you declared, all such things we do in final. So what is the concept here? It is going to use the same thing. You run, a wrong URL is entered, it is going to display invalid and program end. And when we are executing URL server.com, it will execute on success and get the data and program end. It's working same like callback, but performance wise, this is better than what callbacks. Now, if you ask how I can see the performance, you need to learn so many more techniques. You need to learn how we test apps, how we test performance. It's a different concept. I will show. At the end, we will learn testing. We'll understand how to calculate the time. We will see how we can use a better process for handling the interaction. So, what is callback and what is promise? Both are used to perform certain actions. One will do in synchronous way, another will do in asynchronous way. So, technically, promises are used to execute the given task asynchronous. How do you configure syntactically? Reference is equal to new promise. This promise uses a function with resolve and reject. So in this situation wise, resolve will work and situation wise reject also will work. Resolve and reject works. So reference uses then, catch, another one is what? Final. We have then catch finally. What is then? It is a promise function that executes when resolved, right? When resolved. Catch, it is a promise function that executes on reject, right? On reject. And finally, it executes on every time. It executes always. On success, on failure, every time it will execute. And very important is you can have multiple then blocks. You can have multiple then blocks. On success, it can do many things. On success, it can handle many tasks, not one task. On success, you can handle many tasks. On failure, it will do only one. But on success, you can design in such a way that it can do more than one. That means a promise on success, will it do only one function? No. It can have multiple functionalities. For example, we can write multiple then blocks. For example, you see, first then block gets the response. I can add another then block. What this then block can do, I will put console log. So data delivered so successfully. Just roughly this message we are giving. Data delivered successfully. And you can see that it is going to perform all those tasks. Enter URL server.com. It will perform all of them. On success, can we execute multiple tasks? Yes. We can perform multiple tasks. Actually, you need multiple tasks sometimes. I hope you people learned fetch. When you used fetch in your JavaScript, fetch is used to fetch data from APIs. And it uses two then blocks. One then block gets the data, but the data is in binary form. Then another then block will convert the binary data into JSON. I hope you learned. No? You haven't learned any AJAX in JavaScript, right? If you learned, it's fine. Otherwise, here I will explain, right? I will show you how we can handle. That's mandatory. Because without AJAX, there cannot be a single page application. Everything is managed with AJAX. JavaScript AJAX concepts you should know actually. I will show here, right? But technically, this is multiple then blocks. There is another technique. What is another technique? So multiple then blocks, I will copy one example. I will copy this example. In interviews, this is very famous. Almost all UI interviews in the front end, in full stack development, in front end interviews, even for React developers, they ask this very much. What are callbacks? What are promises? Right? What is difference between callback and promise? I hope everyone understood. Callback contains a set of functions, but executes only what are required for situation. Promise also do the same. Callbacks will execute in a synchronous way, and promise will execute in an asynchronous way. And important here, in promise we have one more option. So one more option. Promise provides all method that can execute multiple asynchronous actions. That can execute multiple asynchronous actions. At a time, we can execute multiple async. Usually, a promise executes only one asynchronous action. If you want multiple, then you can define using this technique. Later, you need them actually. For example, when you are working with APIs, I will show later detailedly. Suppose when you are working with APIs, suppose we are having some LET users. We have promise.resolve and we are accessing some users related data. Suppose this is some array or some anything. You can have anything array user 1, user 2, like this some data is present. We have another one products promise dot resolve. So we have some product 1, product 2 like this. We have products related data. One promise we use for connecting with users table in database. Another promise we use for connecting with products table. That means in a database, there can be multiple tables. For every table, to connect with every table, you need a connection. Remember, If you are not perfect in JavaScript, leave this class and run away. Don't come from tomorrow. Understood? If you are not having basic knowledge of JavaScript, then don't attend this batch. We don't want any time waste, time pass people in this class. If you don't understand basic JavaScript, don't attend. Learn JavaScript and come to React. Basics of JavaScript minimum required. We can't explain even basics also here. Right? Don't come without basic knowledge of JavaScript. If you are feeling that you are unable to understand, quit. Simple. Learn JavaScript perfectly, then come. Here we will teach you advanced. We will not teach all basics again. Right? We will not teach all basics again. If you don't understand, just quit. Better. Learn perfect JavaScript and then attend React batches. These are not for you if you are not perfect in basic JavaScript also. Some people don't know even general basic things in JavaScript and they try to attend this batch. They don't fit in this. Here, advanced topics we are teaching, right? For the people who already know some basic of JavaScript. So arrays, objects, all these we can't explain again here. You should know about them and come. I told you now, up to statements, operators, data types, you should be perfect. Rest of things I will explain. If you don't know even those basic things, this looks confusion. Right? You should know what is array, what is object, how they are defined. Minimum you should learn. So now we have two promises. One for fetching the data from users, another for fetching the data from products. What we can do is with one request, we can access all. Generally, we need two requests to access data from two places. But with one request, we can access all. How you can do that? By using promise.all. Into that, you pass the two references. One is what? Users. Another one is what? Products. Then what promise will do is it can return then uses a callback function. It will get a response. This response contains details from both users and products. Usually generally when people learn basic API connections in their JavaScript, they learn connecting with one table, access and use it. Like that to connect with multiple tables, because in future your tables may have some complex relationships. Then we have to access all the related tables also. With one request, we should able to access data from multiple. And that is possible by using what? Promise.all. Promise.all. Now what response contains? Console.log, we have a response. And see what response contains. Response contains the data coming from users as well as products. That means with one request, we can connect with multiple. This is very, very important in future while working with complex data with relations. Because you will have a database with several tables and lot of relationships. And all related data you have to access. One request is not enough. For every table, you need a separate request. And multiple requests you are making, then burden for application. More memory is required now. With one request, we can access from all. That is possible by using this technique. What is it? Promise.all. What is purpose of this all method? It can execute multiple asynchronous actions. That means syntactically you can define like this. Promise.all. It is an array of this is request 1, this is request 2. We can handle multiple requests and it will return then. It will create a function with response. And what this response contains? Response comprises of data from both requests. Am I right? It will contain the data from both requests, request 1 and request 2. This is very important. We have seen in lot of React interviews, this question is asked regularly. What is promise all? What is promise all? It is a technique of executing multiple asynchronous functions. Multiple asynchronous function. Now, very important here is when you are dealing with this, I will give example. I will copy this example. This is example for promise all. Remember, these are all syntax examples as I already told you. These examples we will put with real-time data. Later we will replace them. Everything in React, you will see how it is used in real world. We'll work with them. Okay, now another concept while working with these promises, you have one more important thing is async and await. We have async and await. Actually, async and await is a old technique which is now replaced with promises. Even today, developers use with combination of promises, but actually async and await itself is a promise. So in old JavaScript, you write async and await, and in new JavaScript, you use what? Promise. Many times people confuse. They get confused about it. They ask, what is difference between async and promise? Promise itself is async, right? The old way of writing an asynchronous function, which still developers follow, but in the modern generation, we recommend create them as promises instead of writing them as asynchronous. But current, you see so many projects, people still using async. Async. I will show one point. What is that concept here is, suppose we are writing a function. This function is having some get data. This function will return an array. It will return some array of objects. So name and another object. So mobile, like this, it's written some data. Actually, when you call this function can return this data. This is a function with synchronous technique. If you want as asynchronous technique, you can just mark it as async. You can mark it as async. Once you mark the function as async, it becomes a promise. It becomes a promise. You see now, get data function, it became a promise. Am I right? It is a promise now. Many people are confused. So because generally outside YouTube and all, this confuses you. Everybody starts teaching whatever he knows about it. Right? Due to that, what happens is the problem here is we misunderstand the concept. You have content presenters on YouTube na, whatever people watch websites, many of the people who teach you a technology, they are not developers. They are not developers. Who they are? Content presenters. Content presenters means they look good, they can communicate well, then more followers will come. More followers will not come if you teach good subject. You need to look good. Understood? Huh? You need to look good, or you need to look completely awkward. Right? Then people will follow you. That means followers will not come You see, regularly you'll see there is an official website. I will tell you interesting here. You see on YouTube, you have this is Google Developer. Google Developers YouTube channel is there. Achha, I will just open anything one of this. Yeah. I will log in into my existing account. Yep. You can see here Google Developers, Google Developers official channel is there. This is Google Developers official channel. This Google Developers official channel, there when you go to this, they will give you officially about everything. AI and everything. Official Google people, this is. Right? You want to learn agentic AI, you want to learn about generative AI, they have free course. Officially, Google has free course, but nobody comes here. Right? They will follow some XYZ person online. Who is better in delivering me a topic? The person who designed, he knows better than anybody, na? Right? We have Microsoft developers. They teach .NET. Nobody follows them. Nobody follows them. Right? So we have a person called Scott Hulsman. He is the architect of .NET technology. When he uploads a video about any .NET concept, 100 people watch, 200 people watch. And some XYZ on YouTube uploads million. This person invented, man. This person invented the technology. He knows better than anybody else. Right? He can deliver the correct concept. Other people may misguide you. Right? That means they may tell you about a topic what they know about it. But this person can tell what exactly it is. Right? So this is where one problem comes, because on YouTube and all, people confuse you. They will say that asynchronous functions are different, promises is different. No, promise itself is an async. If you make a function async, it is a promise. In modern JavaScript, directly you can write promise. Or we can write a function and make it like a promise. You can do that by using which one? Async. And you see how to access, dot then get a function, get the response and log the response. Console.log whatever the response comes. And you will see that it is going to return the data as response. Same like promise. So asynchronous functions will do. And if you want an asynchronous function to use a blocking technique, that means while it is reading and returning this data, it is using unblocking technique. Asynchronously it is working now. If you want a blocking technique, you can use await word. Await indicates that block. Use a blocking technique. That means until the response is completed, don't allow to do anything else. You can make it await. Await means keep it waiting and let it finish. After that, let other tasks perform. If you make it await, so you can see that when I return that, result is same now. But this time it is using a synchronous mechanism. Even the function is asynchronous. It is reading, and while reading, it will not do any another thing. We can remove the await and we can make it async. Right? If you use await word, that means use a synchronous mechanism. Synchronously access that. That is the meaning of the words async and await. What is direct indirect concept about async? Async is used to create a promise. Am I right? It creates a promise. You can directly write a promise or write a function and configure as a promise. So it is asynchronous in execution. So you can use await, which can make it synchronous. So which can make it synchronous. That is sync and async. Syntactically, async function name. It can return any data if you want. Roughly, I given. And how to access. So this is synchronous, asynchronous, return, await data. This is synchronous. And how it works, dot then, dot catch, and dot finally. It is a promise actual. Directly you create promise or you use async. That is one concept. So we have to use lot of these in our programming. So much async await techniques we have to implement. Actually, we use this everywhere in general event handling also, right? You might have not used them directly in JavaScript, but here in React, you will see how to handle them, right? Okay, this is another concept, just example I will copy here. So we have async and await. So we can use in various other location also. Is it clear to everyone? I hope you understood callbacks and promises, right? Promises and callback. Another important is you need to know about debounce and throttle. Debounce and throttle. These are all JavaScript only. Don't think that I am teaching some alien script here. This is all JavaScript only. Only the point is this is a little important level of JavaScript which is required for advanced front-end technologies. Right? So what you learnt as JavaScript, if it is not including all this, that's not great. So it should have all these things. That is the reason people fail in interviews regularly. So several people are learning React.js. Why people fail in interviews? Because the topics and the terms are a little advanced concept asked. These are all out of 100 React interviews you attend, 99 interviews, these words will be there in questions. What is promise? What is callback? What is pure? What is impure? What is higher order functions? Right? What is debounce and throttle? These are important. Debounce is very, very important concept. See, I will show one concept here. For example, we have a button, say volume up, something. I put a paragraph and this button on click. So volume click. Okay. Let's write a script here. And this function is volume click. Okay. I'm having three functions. We have function level one. And this is document dot query selector paragraph. In that inner HTML, we have a message. Volume increased by some 30%. That's the message. Okay. I have level 2 that increases volume by 70%. I have level 3 and it increases volume. It simply says that volume is full. Volume full. Now see what happens in this example. I will call these three functions in volume click. Level 1, after that level 2, and after that level 3. Three functions we are calling in a sequential order. And we will run this now. You can see when I click volume up, it is going to display volume full. What about first and second message? The question here is it printing them? Is it printing first and second message? Yes, it is printing. Then why I cannot see? Why you cannot see? Huh? Because you are not Superman or Spider-Man. If you are Superman or Spider-Man, you can see. You seen us, Spider-Man can see a bullet moving. Our actors also can see sometimes. Right? If you are Superman, Spider-Man, you can catch that speed. But you are normal human. Your eye cannot catch that speed. Actually, it is printing first message, second message, and third message. It is so fast that you can't see it. You can't control it. So, problem is you are having a TV remote. When you are using a remote control, on a remote control we have keypad. What is difference between keypad and typewriter? In typewriter, when you hold down a key, it will type, after that it will stop. But in keypad, when you hold down a key, it will repeat. You know, na? So you are, suppose you are electronic related people know this. People who learned electronic engineering and all, they learned about this debounce concepts, right? Of course, you may not know about them. So because our electrical engineers, B.Tech electronic engineer, they can't repair a fan at their home. You know, they can't repair a fan at their home. 4 years diploma in electronics. Seriously? Right? You can't repair a fan. That is your engineering level. That we can't blame on that, right? So that is your engineering level. So you civil engineer, can you build, construct your home? No, no. You can't even draw a plan. Right? That is our quality. We don't worry about that, right? That is our quality of engineers. Debounce is not a new concept. Electronics people know about it. In this remote control, we have a chip which controls the program. When user hold down up arrow, it will go volume up. It will go 0 to 100. It will be so fast that they can't control. When they click down arrow, it will come 100 to 0. That means little delay in releasing the key, it will go somewhere. That means now what we have to do, even user hold down the key, we must slowly release the task one after another. This is called debouncing. Understood? Huh? What is bounce mechanism? Executing the task one after another immediately. That is not good every time. So if you execute the task one after another every time fast, so fast, then it will not allow other tasks to finish sometimes. It may lead to seize. It may hang your device, na? Right? You cannot use remote control if debounce is not designed. Why? Because you hold down the key, a little bit delay in releasing, it will go to some other point. You will face this mostly this type of issue in joystick, remote control cars. You press one side right, it will go somewhere else. Because you can't control it so fast. You need debounce there. That means how you can debounce, how we can delay the task by some time. What you can do is you can use a function called set timeout. Set timeout is used for debouncing. Set timeout level 1 and release it after 4 seconds, 4000 milliseconds. Set timeout level 2, release it after 8000 milliseconds. And set timeout some level 3 and release it after 10,000 milliseconds, 10,000, 12,000 milliseconds. And remember, what will happen now is actually, what will happen here is all these three tasks are loaded into memory at a time. They are loaded into memory. We have memory na? Into the memory, all the three tasks are loaded at a time. All three loaded at a time. L1, so L2 and L3, all three loaded at a time. After that, these tasks need to be sent into process. When it comes to process, actually what is happening, first task is sent into process. Immediately, what will happen is second task is also sent into process. It looks like overwriting. Na? It is so fast that you can't see it. Now what debounce will do, when first task is released into memory, from memory to process, it will lock the second and third one. That is what your multi-threading will call it as thread sleep. Am I right? That means it will wait for some time. Let the first one finish, then release after some time. This is debounce. If you release a task immediately when user triggered, it is complicated sometimes. User clicks pay, immediately send the payment. He cannot cancel. You know, now you face this problem regularly. You click pay button. Is there a cancel option? No cancel. Once it is released into process, you cannot cancel it. That's the reason when they click pay, slowly release. Wait for few seconds in memory so that if they want, they can cancel. If you don't do that, if you don't implement debounce, when they click pay, it's gone immediately. They can't even cancel. These are very important to implement in real world projects, right? So many transactions. Now see what will happen. When I click on volume up, it is going to return. First one, it will execute after 4 seconds. After that, the second one will execute after 4 seconds. Then finally, the third one will execute after 4 seconds. Earlier also same thing happening. Only the point you cannot catch that speed. So now we debounced it. We controlled it. Without debouncing, lot of issues will come in apps. So especially you are designing internet-based applications, transactions cannot be retrieved, cancelled. So you can keep them in memory for some time. For example, what we can do, when I click volume up, before they release the third task, we can cancel it. That means, suppose I want to cancel level 2. I will do here, I will put a button, cancel level 2, something. On click, I need to cancel. On click, cancel. Okay, we will write a script function, cancel. As I showed you, these three are loaded into memory na? In which memory the second task is present, we don't know. They are loaded into memory, but memory don't have a reference. Then how you will cancel? We can store a global reference where L1, L2 and L3. And what we can do, L1 in that memory, this will be stored. In L2, second one will be stored. In L3, the third one will be stored. Now, what is advantage? You can cancel by using clear timeout. Clear timeout will delete the task from memory before it is released into process. Clear timeout L2, it will clear it. That means what you have to do, click on volume up, and before the Second one is released into process, you have to cancel. Once it is released into process, you can't cancel. So it is released into process, you try to click cancel, nothing. Then how do we do that? I will run this. Okay, volume up and click on cancel level 2. And you can see 30 and 70 will not execute now. Directly it will get to full. You can cancel any task. If we don't control debouncing, there is no chance of canceling at all. Because computers run tasks very fast. This mechanism is called as what? Debounce. Right? What is debounce? It is the process of delaying a task in execution. So the task is not executed immediately. It is executed after some time. Similarly, we have throttle. So I will give an example with debounce and throttle in the next session. Right, we will detailedly discuss some example while working with these two concepts. What is debounce and what is throttle? That's it. 1-2 more topics are there. So we will finish all the concept for functions. Okay, now? Then now we are going to deal with these in our React. In React, how to use these functions, I will show you tomorrow itself. In tomorrow's session, we will discuss. Right? So for online people from tomorrow onwards, the link will be changed. For all registered people, they will send one email. Our admin will send an email, and you have to go to Naresh IT website, and you have to select here login. Online people, you have to select login. It will come to this login. You enter your mobile registered mobile number and submit. Right? They will give you an account. Means all your registered mobiles are present there. Online people contact the admin. They will send you the process how to log in and how to work. Offline people you can directly handle here. Right? No problem. Right? Online people link will be changing. So tomorrow onwards they have to join through the link sent by our admins. Okay. Then tomorrow will continue. Tomorrow we will finish 2 more topics in function, and we will start using this in our React. How to use in React we will see. Okay. I hope everyone is able to understand the concepts. Right. Then now we are ready for React Basic. After that, some more topics will come. Right. So learning functions, using them in React. After that, any topic comes, we will detailedly learn in JavaScript and then go to React. Right? Okay, thank you.